Okay, we have another 9. Hey, I did 4 and you did 5 last time, so how about I'll do 5, you do 4?
Sure.
Okay, so like the first character I'm doing, keep forgetting to set this up first. Okay, the first one I'm doing is Jade, not a good start. Then Dirk, okay. Yeah. Then John, and narrator, okay. Actually, if I'm doing narrator again, should we just do 4 and 5 once more? Which
Sure.
means the ones you're doing, you're doing Dave, Dave Petter, Mina, Rose, and Tavros.
There's Dave Petta Sprite?
Yes.
What?
Briefly, but yes.
Alright.
Right. John, Fight Lord English. All round you is pandemonium, a multi-chromatic cyclone of shrieks and clashing colours, as Mina's ghost army claws at the borders of Paradox Space. Wait, that is her army, right? It seems like it's been so long since you forced past any of this, but you're pretty sure that this is the army you, Mina, Vriska, and the other circuit were trying to raise. So it's true then, the Juju has finally unloaded you exactly where you needed to be. Every screaming body pitches down and goes white the closer it gets to the black hole above you, and below, front and centre, is Lord English himself, the big deal version, pimped up, hogged out, and throwing a huge universe-ending tantrum. And like his younger form, his eyes aren't flickering wildly. They're locked in place, an 8-ball in each socket. You briefly wonder what that means, but your curiosity is interrupted by a massive outburst of technicolor dragon breath coming from his mouth. And later show tears its way through a squadron of ghosts led by, is that Tavros? Seems like an awful choice to lead an army, but what do you know? Wasn't Vriska supposed to be leading the charge? Where is she anyway? Listen, you don't have time to dwell on Vriska. She's probably somewhere around here, biding her time, waiting to execute her masterstroke and finish English off at just the right moment, like the cunning bitch she is. No, you can't think about that now. You're becoming enraptured by the sound surrounding you. Not a sound, a sensation, a subharmonic symphony you can only hear in your bones. This is it, the end of Paradox Space. The thing you saw in your anime dreams. A hard lump of air travels down your throat, but you don't hesitate. Behind you, the juju disappears, sucked out of reality with a pop. You move your hands in a dumb little motion, sort of like jazz hands, and summon up a wisp of wind to keep your glasses in place. You then pull one of your sickest hammers out to your strike deck. Your teen friends follow suit. You cast a glance back over your shoulder at them. They all look pretty cool. Rose knitting lights around her with the kills of a echidna, Dave with a sword killed for a witch, whatever, at the ready, trading timeless sortions behind him that look, if you don't squint, a lot like JPEG artifacts. Jay's got her favourite gun cocked and ready, with her ears perked up. Let's do this!
Don't get overconfident. We have to do it exactly like we discussed.
But Rose doesn't get to finish what she was trying to say. Lord English's mouth roars open, and a wave of energy blasts through your group. Rose is the only one causing it. She dissolves in slow motion. You can see the outline of her body in shadow, one arm thrown up over her eyes, shoulders pulled up defensively, cape billowing out behind her. She sees an arter image of shimmering light in her wake, and then dissipates, drifting apart like a handful of salt tossed out to sea. You can almost hear the cosmic clock counting down, tick-tock, and a chime to accompany her face. Heroic. Rose! No! Jay doesn't wait to fire. Space splinters open around her so loudly it drowns out the fire from her rifle. Lord English raises one of his giant fuck-off hands to deflect her anomaly-powered bullets, giving Dave an opportunity to attack. Dave raises a legendary blade and aims at his impressively beefy torso. It should be a sure hit, like slashing the side of an unusually broad green barn, but he whiffs completely. It's a wonder how such a big man can move so fast. Jade inspects her rifle and tosses it aside. What is she doing? With all the powers of the Witches of Space at her command, combined with the infinite abilities of the First Guardian, she's still messing around with basic firearms? She makes two tight fists and strikes a pose befitting of a warrior about to power the fuck up. She focuses and strains. A doggy snarl rips its way through her clenched teeth. A hazy aura envelops her as space buckles and lenses about her form. And then nothing. No crackle of electricity, no licks of chartreuse flame. She searches within and realizes that her power sources are completely unavailable to her. Then she looks up and it dawns on her. That thing in the sky, the hungry black orb gobbling up everything in sight, that's where the green sun used to be. It's been swallowed completely by a black hole. The realization is horrifying. She feels suddenly absolutely helpless. Jade opens her mouth to scream for help, but she's cut off. A razor-sharp fragment of reality slams into her back. It skewers her, exiting right through the center of the space symbol on her hoodie. She chokes and goes limp, encircled by a halo of her own blood. Get in there! You're barely a minute into the battle and both the tactician and your most powerful player are down. You summon a windstorm to momentarily keep Lord English preoccupied and try to grab your sister's wrist. Instead, you catch her by the hem of her skirt. Lord English struggles to emerge from the wind prison you just whipped up. You can see one of his arms flailing just outside the circumference of your storm. Tavros has pulled himself to his feet and, recognizing English's temporary state of vulnerability, directs a ghost on his side to attack. No one is paying attention to him. Jade is floating away from you. You're having a hard time maintaining your whirlwind, your glasses, your hammer, and your grip on her. Lord English's head has emerged from the apex of your storm. He looks directly at you, and its mighty jaw creaks open slowly, well beyond the reasonable capacity of any mortal mandible hinge. You stare directly down the dark barrel of his throat, which readies another terrible laser shot. There's not much time to react. Make a decision. You let Jade go. She floats in literal slow motion, buoyed by the billows of her skirts. You summon a gust of wind to push her farther away from the battle. You're hit by a blowback from the current, and the line of her blood splashes across your face. But releasing her has created enough separation, just as you hoped. The later breath passes between you, narrowly missing you both. You reel back like you've been punched. Your control over the storm goes haywire for a second, long enough for Lord English to free his gaudy gold-pegged leg from it, and more catastrophically, for you to drop your already broken glasses. You whirl around and swing your hammer to bop his horrible, deadly head back into your storm. You can't really see what's going on, but you hear a gigantic crunch, and then another, and another. It sounds like a cereal commercial is playing outside the periphery of your vision. Dave!
What?
Is Lord English eating my hammer?
Yeah, dude, he totally is.
What the fuck? It's a true outrage. This isn't going to work, waging battle without your glasses. Lord English has just eaten one of your sickest hammers due to your blind folly. You take a deep breath and dive down, right into the sea of ghosts. You land clumsily, palms first, and do an accidental handspring right into a bunch of alternate timeline trolls you don't recognize. Hey guys, anyone see a pair of glasses down here? It's pretty important. Everybody shrugs. The gaggle of lost souls collectively personifies uselessness. It is inconceivable to you that a single one of them will survive this battle. Perhaps it's for the best. But behind you, the wind barrier tears open. Lord English explodes from his confinements and swings his peg leg through the army. Ghosts scatter like bowling pins, many flying into the cracks of space. Before the leg hits you, a troll leads into action and blocks the blow. Her trident makes a satisfying ring off the round of the peg and sends it skidding backward. Well, that was a close one.
Shell of time to finally show up.
Sorry, we were kind of busy. This is a weird question, but have you seen a pair of glasses down here?
Are these what you're looking for?
Tavros appears behind you and hands over your glasses, still in two pieces. You return them to your face so you can take a quick assessment of the battlefield. Take a quick assessment of the battlefield. Oh boy, Lord English, now free from your wind trap, is stomping around, throwing an even bigger ship in than before. The black hole above him is getting bigger. You can see the ghosts at the edge of the battlefield tumbling through space towards it, distorted, screaming, and helpless. Also, Tavros is suddenly leading an admirable charge for about 6 ghosts to attack Lord English's fleshbus. He wins because he can see what's coming before it happens. It's a shame because he didn't have the chance of banking with one of your glasses. English raises his knee and stomps 3 ghosts into oblivion. The other 4, Tavros included, get vaporized in the beam. The ghost army seems to be thinning out pretty badly by now, and most of the ones remaining are either fleeing or getting sucked into the hole. You whip out another hammer, classic this time, the wrinkle fucker. Its boinging pair of irons are hot, hissing, and ready for action. You use the wind to propel yourself back towards the fray. Dave is slicing paper cuts into English's torso with glancing nicks from his blade, but the monster is spry as ever, making him a difficult target. You take advantage of his distracted cavorting to whack him on the side of the skull. Your hammer connects with a satisfying crunch, and he stumbles back, but recovers and lunges forward in a motion so quick you can barely follow it. English grabs a wrinkle fucker with his mouth. You hold on tight, but he starts shaking his head rapidly the way a dog with a rabbit tries to break his neck. He chomps down hard and shatters the hammer's head, gulping down the broken pieces. You watch incredulously as a giant dude eats yet another one of your favourite hammers. Unbelievable. He lunges at the handle in a ridiculously greedy attempt to finish what's left of your weapon. You recoil, careening out toward the black hole, but manage to stabilize yourself. You look at the handle of your tragically masticated wrinkle fucker, shrug, and toss it into the hole. Glancing back down toward your foe, you notice Mina still appears to be hanging on, clinging to his left suspender.
Y'all hold on, going for the krill.
Dave takes a step back to provide some space or whatever killer move she's got up her sleeve. She raises her trident and jams it into the back of Lord English's neck. English reacts as if he's been stung by a bee. He howls and rears up, throwing Mina off his back with a force that sends her hurtling out into space. You can't track her into the void for your eyes. She's flung so far and so fast. You can only assume the worst. Glancing back down, you see English hasn't wasted any time after ridding himself of the irksome heiress. He has Dave pinned under his big green foot and is applying pressure. You've got to act fast. You flip out another hammer, you don't care which one, and send it flying towards the monster's face. English quickly whips his head in the direction of the sailing hammer and swallows it whole. You rush after it, reaching for another hammer without thinking. The brief distraction, aside from providing English with another tasty hammer snack, seems to have brought Dave just enough wiggle room to slip out from under the boots, regain his composure, and draw his sword.
John, I need a little.
Dave ducks a wide blow from English's swinging fist. He backs up nervously, holding his sword out in front of him with two shaking hands.
Anything. I need a little anything right now. Literally any stupid fucking thing you can do.
I'm on it! You pop your strike deck open and just spam the hell out of your remaining hammers. A few excellent hammers that cost you a fortune to make, a bunch of shitty hammers you made as a joke, and everything in between. With another flick of your wrist, you spin them around you, so fast they form a perfectly impenetrable barrier of pure shitty hammer. Okay, the barrier is probably not the slightest bit impenetrable, but you've got to psych yourself up for this next attack somehow. In your hands is a weapon you haven't thought about in a long time, the problematic Frilly-Hoo. It hums with both tricksy energy and the barely contained potential for mischief. You strike the baddest ass pose possible to strike while wielding such a clownish-looking implement, and begin your advance. However, you're interrupted by a voice screaming out behind you. It's half familiar, half cat.
Oh shit.
Yeah, that's you.
Wait! I don't know what kind of voice to do for Dave Fittis.
That's a good voice, I don't know. You whip your head around just in time to see a bolt of orange-green energy racing by you like a bullet. It slams into Lord English and sends him stumbling.
I'm back.
Dave stands there with a sword, absolutely agog, his expression perfectly reflecting a blend of horror and a total inability to process who or what he's looking at.
Dude, I can't believe you don't recognize me. It's me, Dave Sprite, and also Nepeta. Now we're called Dave Feta Sprite Squared. We permanently merged forms and worked out all our shit. Oh, well, that sounds fucked up, but okay.
Dave presses spreads their wings, sending waves of warm light through the battlefield. The light feels comforting somehow when it hits you. Behind them, Lord English is struggling to his feet again, roaring as he rolls from one side to the other like a kicked-over turtle. His muscles are so huge it's hard for him to maneuver. It would be hilarious if only all of reality went tearing apart at the seams around you. The sky shivers and shakes, raining needles of breached matter that burst and shatter at all angles, opening new voids where they land. Above the bedlam, Dave Petter is finishing up an inspiring speech, and realised he tuned most of his attitudes to the surrounding chaos.
It looks powerful right now, but we can do it. In fact, we're literally the only ones who can do it. After all, this is our destiny.
Well, that last bit was pretty good, you guess. At least you caught the end, which is presumably the most important and uplifting part. You and Dave exchange a look that silently says all that needs to be said right now. Dave Petter is bright. You three are the only ones left, and there's no room for failure. Final round. The last leg of the fight proceeds like a well-oiled machine. Perhaps a well-oiled machine careening down a steep hill toward the edge of a cliff, but well-oiled nonetheless. You, Dave, and Dave Petter, that's what you call a team. And not just because upon examining your surroundings, you three appear to be the last living or dead beings left in existence. But damn it, you'll take it. You turn your hammers into an efficient spiral, a carousel of ass-kicking, and direct its fury right at Lord English's face. The butts of the hammers hit him over and over again, like racking up points in a slot machine. Dave manages to carve a red line up Lord English's side, drawing real blood this time. The slash snaps one of his suspenders in half, and must have something else too, because the sword makes a grisly, beaty squelch when he pulls his out. Dave turns a half second too late to avoid getting sprayed by the wound. English howls and swipes at Dave. Not wasting any time, you bury a hammer in his gaping mouth. Unsurprisingly, it gets swallowed, so you throw him another one. Now you're just throwing them into his fucking mouth like you're feeding him Scooby snacks. It's a gluttonous display you won't soon forget. You realise he seems to be stuck in a cycle and are in serious danger of running out of hammers. Dave, cat, sprite thing, help! Dave Pretter scrapes their cool Wolverine claws up Lord English's back and then kicks him in the back of the head. You time it perfectly and complete the combo with a well-placed Frilly-Hoo undercut to his jaw. On the snapback, Lord English grabs the head of the hammer in his mouth. Oh no, not again, you big, ugly oaf. I really, really like this hammer. Maybe it's a sentiment attached to the hammer, or maybe you're just fed up with this gross pig treating your full inventory of hammers like an all-you-can-eat buffet. But the bullshit stops here, you think, which is why you refuse to let the handle go when English wraps his tongue around it and unhinges with jaw with a sick, wet pop. You plant one foot under his nose and the other on his mandible and tug back. It makes a guttural sound at the back of his throat and sucks the Frilly-Hoo deeper in. Your heel slips on some drill and your whole leg skids straight into his mouth. You twist off balance and fail to catch yourself. You only let go of the hammer when you feel the walls of his throat constrict around your ankles. The pressure sucks you in up to the knees in one gulp. Really who is in his stomach, and you're following it down quicker than you can even process. Is this the end? No, you think. This is such an unfairly stupid fucking way to die.
John!
Davepetter flashes behind you and hooks their arms under your shoulders. They yank you out, clearing your head from the monster's maw at least. But the English rehinges his jaw and clamps down on your chest. Hard. Davepetter reacts quickly, shoving their claws between his molars. You can hear them growling as they slowly twist their arms to pry the massive jaw open. You're not dead yet, but Lord English definitely got a big sharp tooth in you. Your vision reels and goes blurry, then patchy, then dark, then... Don't fucking die! You pass out for, well, you have no idea how long it was, but it was long enough for Davepetter to get you out of Lord English's mouth. You can see their fates floating above you. They're just a smudge of neon swimming in a sea of chaos.
Wow, you almost got bored to death.
What?
I'm afraid to say that you look like a total shit, my dude. You should stay here while we win this bitch down. Pero meows means you won't move.
I meows?
Oh, promise.
Oh. Davepetter holds something up to your face. Your glasses. They tuck them into the front pockets of your hoodie and pat you on the head before darting through the air back toward the battle. You're woozy and you don't have the energy to stop yourself from drifting. There's blood floating up around you, dilute and bubbly in the air like cooking oil and water. It's yours. Examine wound. You lift your chin and see it. Lord English's gold tooth cracks off at the base and embedded in your chest. It must be stuck between two of your ribs, you think, because it hurts like a bitch when you try to breathe. You keep your head up and watch the battle, but it's also indistinct and far away, playing out like shadow theatre on a wall. Dave finds his moments. He rams the Welsh sword into Lord English's chest, all the way up to the hilt. It penetrates his flesh like nothing else has to this point. The wound around the blade sizzles slightly. The weapon, the unusual material it's made of, is poison to English. He cries out in the cracked, broken staccato. It's an ear-splitting wail that cleaves the last of the first ring apart. Reality falls away from the mooring of the all-surrounding white knight like a peeled eggshell. Dave's trying to get his sword free, but he's stuck. English's shriek morphs into a sinister, predatory rattle as his jaw creaks open. His mouth envelops Dave's head and snaps shut. He twists once, then twice, then again with a crack. A disaster of blood instantly coats his skull and upper torso. He swallows his disembodied head whole with a triumphant gulp. The limp torso goes spiraling lazily in the direction of the black hole. Davepetter is yelling something indistinct, or maybe they're just yowling at the top of their lungs. That's what you feel like doing right now, but you can't move. Your limbs feel like lead. You can throw your strike out, but you've got nothing left. No hammers, no nothing. It's up to Davepetter, who appears to have plenty left. If it's not in the strike deck per se, then in the heart. During the brief, caressy moments of gloating over the young strider's death, Davepetter stands 20 paces behind him, crashes low to the ground, wriggles there behind, and pounces. They cling to English's back, wrap their legs around his midriff, draw back their arms, and plunge their claws deep into the behemoth's armpits. Their gloved hands end up knuckle deep in the upper thoracic muscles on either side. Davepetter then spreads their rings in an awe-inspiring display, and an unwitting spectator viewing Lord English from the front might suspect that the garish orange-green wings belong to English himself. Davepetter then, with all their might, lifts Lord English into the air and flies toward the black hole, trailing ribbons of blood and neon. English resists fiercely, but they're both already locked into the gravity well, beyond any threshold of escape. You cannot do anything about it, no matter how much he screams and cries. This victory, this final sacrifice, has always been the destiny of Davepetter, as they have sent from the moment they were created. And to die on this day, in this way, has always been the destiny of Lord English. The black hole, the gaping, implacable, cosmic embodiments of their cherub, his long-departed sister, finally welcomes Lord English home. English and Davepetter are sucked in with a subatomic whimper. The reunion sends shockwaves across the pitiful remains of Paradox Space, and then everything is wholly, utterly, and categorically silent. It's over. Lord English is dead. But it doesn't feel over, somehow. You don't feel like you've won. You can barely feel anything, actually. All you can think about for now is Davepetter. How they were so unfettered and brave. How they sacrificed themselves by flying right into the black hole like a fucking piece of garbage, you can almost hear Dave said. May God rest his soul. You collapse against whatever is passing through the floor at this moment of utterly null corporeal conditions surrounding you. It doesn't feel possible. You're not sure you can even trust your perception well enough to believe it, but it seems to be over. You convince yourself of this truth well enough to allow you to excel, enough to allow yourself to suddenly acknowledge the agony coursing through your body, emanating from the gold tooth lodged in your chest, enough to allow yourself to succumb to the overwhelming urge to sleep. Close your eyes. Uh,
Sorry.
chocolate. There you go. Yeah.
Oh wait, are we doing this?
Uh,
Oh okay.
Yeah. Your
All right.
Rose.
Oh yeah, I am. When I was a child, I wrote a novel.
Rose is speaking with her eyes closed. She's weary but standing her now, near one of Dirk's work tables. She has both hands resting on the chassis of of its recent project, Sawtooth 3.1. The energy humming inside its mechanical heart warms her palms. Dirk snorts, but in a good-natured sort of way. That's the closest he usually gets to laughing. Another one of those Lalonde childhood wizard pics, I presume. He leans his elbow on the table and stares at her over the rims of his shades. The weight of Dirk's scrutiny is potent. She looks away.
Complacency of the learned.
Ah, the wizard pic then.
Yes, of course. It was nothing like the polished masterpiece penned in my middle-aged version of myself for your world. Nor did the saga span as many volumes. 13-year-old Rose only managed to draft the one it shames me to say.
How pathetic.
I know.
Rose sets back, trailing her fingers over the rivets that line Sawtooth 3.1's chest. Eyes close again, she passes in front of the window. With the sunset behind her, she's a shadow ringed in yellow light and turns white at the tips of her hair.
Though I must say, in defense of young Rose's literary integrity, having carefully studied all volumes of the Elder's work and then revisiting my youthful routine dribbles of passion, I observed more power and emotion in the single-page notebook than the full span of best-selling series. It's more raw. It betrays considerably more sincerity than my young self was surely ever aware of stricting into the prose. It meant something. I mean, sorry.
She turns to look at him.
For all its plenty evidence of amateurism as the literary product of a child, I've come to believe it's as much stronger work standing alone as a single volume, its meaning and symbolism potently compressed, its message shining through the more nakedly undistinguished by the cleverness of a more seasoned writer. But the basics are the same as the series. The plot concerns the mech, uh, machinations of 12 wizard children. They revolt against the complacency of the wise, kind wizards and go on to become responsibly for great evil. It isn't their intent to commit atrocities or within their nature to do so originally. They become corrupted by an overabundance knowledge. They the kind never meant for the mortal. The kind never meant for the mortal mind to grasp.
Yeah, this sounds pretty close to my recollection of it.
It certainly wasn't the most fucked up thing I've ever written, but it was mostly psychological. The most personal, easily. The personal aspect to do it was all telegraphed allegory and esoteric symbolism. I wrote in what would be the best described as a fevered haze, as if I were pulling inspiration from beyond myself, challenging the story rather than writing it. You could almost call the process
She runs a hand through her hair, fanning it into a halo that is suspended in the air for a moment, trading spiderwebs of gold that dissolve into dust. She's smirking now, just a little.
enlightened.
That sucks.
Yes.
It also sounds like it's the opposite of what was going on. Sounds like it more like you were trapped in a sort of dire creative fugue state, causing you to chart your own mental profile using metaphor revolving around murderous, omniscient children.
Well, consider the playful pun resident. Rescinded?
Rescinded, I think.
I don't know that word. Apologies for diminishing your presence in with my subo, suboptimal suboptimal health and the toll it has taken on my wordplay.
Thanks, it's been very difficult for me.
You've been a real trooper. Anyway, my point is that I've long suspected my story was a pre-manifestation of my seer of light powers. I was seeing beyond my universe in another. My original thesis was that the children represented the 12 trolls who created our universe. But over the years, I have come to see how malleable any apparent fact of numerological significance can be. Adaptable, actually, adaptable to shifting circumstance. change in settings, stakes, and a lot of ensembles.
12. That's how many players went through the door at the end of our game.
Exactly. My friends and yours, as well as Kanaya, Karkat, Terezi, and Calliope.
Dirk sets us in against the wall beside Rose, shoulder to shoulder. She seems to take some measure of comfort in the physical proximity, but she finds herself leaning against him, probably without thinking about it, Dirk imagines, because neither of them really do that. He doesn't pull away. If it's her, it's alright. He won't begrudge her a small weakness now. He described this as the facts of neurological significance, which makes it seem he suspects these correlations are something less than utterly providential, as if there is a part of you holding on to the belief that certain figures are coincidental, that their significance as a repetition smacks of bullshit.
Do they not smack of bullshit?
They smack of a bunch of things, and a bunch of other things that also happen to smack of bullshit, but the network of relations isn't perfectly traceable, nor can they all be mapped on a one-to-one basis. It's unclear exactly which things are smacking, just as it's unclear that when it comes to bullshit, whether or not smacking accurately describes what is being done per se. Oh, and so Rose accepts Dirk with the ghost of a smile that she inherited from him. On her face, its blankness is enigmatic as the Mona Lisa's.
Could it be that it is you who's smacking off bullshit, dear father?
Nah, I smack of many admirable qualities as well as keen insight. She doesn't seem to have another repose to return, but her gaze lingers. She stares into his shades as if convinced she could see past them. Dirk allows her eyes to meet. I'm just saying it's all evidence of a grand design, an immortal metasexual apparatus beyond our ken that we can only catch glimpses of when we're proverbially shitting our brains out for our nose, which both you and I know.
Which only you and I know, apparently, which is precisely my question.
Her gaze drifts.
Besides,
Her gaze drifts towards the ceiling.
in my story, all 12 of the disciples fell victim to the vagaries of power. They were filled with the light of knowledge, and one by one, they succumbed to it, turning insane or evil, or most often both. If this is the effect of unchecked powers have on players living in a post-canon victory state, then why isn't it affecting any of our other friends?
Well, I got a few theories. She shoots him a look. It's the kind of look Kanaya gives her sometimes.
Only a few?
I mean, some of us have stopped using our powers completely. Not a whole lot of need for emergency resurrections or complex timeline manipulation on a planet that's never had a conflict more serious than sports will rise or a rumpled hat shortage. But even aside from how often they're used, some powers don't lend themselves to the infinite expansion of one's mind the way ours do.
I see. So what you're saying is, it's more of a matter of one's aspect than it is whether one's powers are practiced further or allowed to arthropy.
Yep.
Arthropy. In that case,
Rose sways suddenly.
perhaps Terezia had the right idea. Getting away from this place, I mean, maybe I was a fool for imagining I could settle down here.
She jerks away from the wall in a tortured, ragdoll motion, one hand snapping out vainly for something to brace herself against. She staggers forward a bit. Dirk doesn't reach out to steady her. Anyone else might have had the empathetic reflex to do so. Maybe it says something about him that he lacks this reflex, and maybe it says something about Rose that she prefers it this way. Try as she might to convince herself otherwise, through marriage vows and occasional banter about adoption with her wife, she is still a solitary creature. She gasps, sucks breath down her throat, and squeezes her eyes shut so hard that a tear rolls out. She slides back down the wall, sitting on the floor to save her energy. She's mostly composed when she raises her head. There's a bit of laughter at the edge of her words.
How are you handling this so well? I assume it was just a Fang Strider stoicism, but you seem to be taking this.
In stride.
Ugh.
I won't lie, it's definitely making me feel pretty crazy. Dirk stands over her, adjusts his hair, crosses his arms. He makes no motions above her joining her on the floor. He looks very together. He says the word crazy with the same intonation with which you might say good morning. It's hard to believe he means it at all. But I've got more practice than this than you do. I spent most of my life before the game multitasking my entire fucking subconscious. I've had several times my age on paper to contemplate these mysteries. Years of prying open can after can of worms filled with answers I didn't like. Cut yourself on the edge more than once and you stop getting surprised by all the blood.
I see.
Rose wraps her hands around her upper arms like there's a winter chill wrapping through the workshop. She shivers.
It's not like the headaches that concern me most. In fact, I don't think it's the expansion of my powers that is causing the headaches, but rather my own resistance to it. Sometimes I get this feeling that I could, if I really wanted to, just let go. It would be as easy as opening my eyes. It's not that feeling you get when you're far enough out of a dream to be conscious of it, but not yet awake. I'm caught in a liminal space between reality and reverie, where people once believed demons dwelled. But the only reason the demon is still sitting on my chest is because I refuse to banish it. All it would take is looking directly at it. I'm forcing myself to stumble through my life as sleepwalker. All this pain and sorrow could go away if I could just allow myself to wake up.
Then why don't you?
Because I'm not sure that the person opening her eyes will be me.
Her voice is lost at sea, swallowed by the swell of darkness lurking in her imagination. This time Dirk does reach out to steady her. He kneels in front of her, curls a knuckle under her chin, and lifts her face up to his level. Then, in a deliberate motion, he pulls off his shades. I understand completely. Rose's eyes flutter, heavy. She meets the intensity of his naked gaze aloofly, like she's not aware this is the first time he's ever let her see it. I know I sound pretty nonchalant most of the time, but actually I'm scared shitless of myself. I've always had this uncanny ability to chart course from A to Z and not give a fuck about any of the lessons in between. I'm not sure anyone should be allowed to have that much foresight, especially a guy like me.
What upsets me most, I think, is the distance this is all putting between me and everyone I know. The farther above the broad you fly, the harder it gets to care about the pieces.
I hear you. And personally speaking, things usually work out for the best when all those pieces do exactly what I say. So I'm also probably not the kind of guy who should get to be right all the time. Rose laughs softly. She's not scared of this abyss she's staring into at all. She doesn't even think to look away.
There's really not an inch of humility in you, is there?
I've just spent a lot of time in my own head. Maybe absolute self-absorption is the inevitable outcome when the self is all you've ever known, when you're drowning in it. I know there's plenty of things that suck about me, no point feigning humility about the things that don't. And yes, I may be a shitty human being, but as a mechanic, I'm off the fucking charts. Rose's eyes have grown distant, almost mirror-like. Dirk can see himself reflected in her vacant stare.
All the pieces in their place. The running.
She says this in a hollow tone. It's a disarming voice a puppeteer ventriloquizes for a marionette. Her head falls towards her shoulder slowly. Dirk catches the cheek as she slides into sleep. It's difficult for the untrained ear to spot the exact moments in their conversation when the words she was saying stop being hers and starts being his. Or maybe maybe they were her words. Does it really matter? In many respects, they're basically the same person, aren't they? Kindred spirits and blood of perspective, the puppet masters of the respective games they like to believe they're playing. But you already knew that, right?